Yeah.
Kevin, you got to fill 15 seconds, man. Just
Yeah, I don't really know Les Mis. So.
maybe soft shoe or.
Hey, you're the Twitter guy.
All right. So in the early days of the internet, the idea was that all data was proprietary, that there were owners and people that guarded this, and that the only way you could play with the data was if you went in their yard and played with their toys. Well, I want to spend about 5 minutes here to try to convince us to try to let the data out to play. So it goes back to about a year ago when we convinced 100 people to get together for a weekend and try to build a company from scratch. What we did or did not produce is irrelevant. It's the community that came out of it that's important. And I think it's effective because we have things like geek dinners and we have Twitter. And these are ways that we've maintained these connections between academics and the techies and the business folk. And even once in a while somebody will pick up the torch and we'll have an event like this. So what I want to do is be inspired by some of the other cities that are doing similar things to what we're doing, and DC is one of them. They're sort of the ground zero for the age of transparency. And they had the city sponsored an event where you could compete and build these apps out of the data that they provided. They also provided an incentive, so they put $20,000 on the plate and split it up in various ways. They had individual and agency categories, and they allowed people to go and use this data to make some applications. The engagement for this panel that did the criteria, basically we're looking for whether it was useful, whether it was usable, and whether it was original. And I want to take some time here to look at some of the examples from what came out of that and to inspire us. So the first one is the carpool matchmaker, and basically what this does is it allows you to go in, look for local landmarks, look for traffic patterns, these are things that are added to the map, and say I want to start a carpool or I want to join a carpool. And then they've integrated some other social networking stuff so you can communicate back and forth. There's also DC Bike, so this isn't a Google map, this is actually an open source software that allows you to build maps on the fly, and they're taking data about where stores are and where crime is, and where metro stations are, and allowing bikers to have some more information. There's also historical tours, and this one I really liked a lot. Allows you to create your own walking tours, and it uses historical data that they've created. It also allows you to add Flickr photos and Wikipedia entries to these things and share this. They've integrated Yelp restaurant reviews as well in Google search, so it's actually very useful. I Live At allows you to go and type in an address and then get demographic data about that particular place. There's a number of categories down here that you can toggle on and off to show landmarks or where crime is or where emergency locations are, where banks. Stumble Safety was a very popular one. It allows you to see where the crime is in relation to the bars. And it has 3 different views of this. One would be daytime crime, evening crime, and nighttime crime. There's Park It, and I don't know exactly how they did this, but my understanding with this is they know when the meters are going to be available. So you're allowed to go into this thing if you're planning a trip in downtown and know where to aim to find open spots. They've got a color code to show what the availability is. Achieve DC is looking at the elementary and high school and middle schools and looking at in relation to poverty rates. So each of the shaded areas is a different poverty rate. And if you click on this data, you get population of the school and you get test scores. And that data was actually created by the local paper. So I'm issuing a challenge to Bloomington to try to build 5 new applications with new sources of data that are made transparent in the month of June. And I think we can do this if we just follow a couple simple things. The first thing is that we have to have the people that have the information be a leader and release it to the world. Everybody's got some unique data, maybe unique to Bloomington, that might add something to this project. And there's a whole lot of these entities out there. We also need to tear down the walls. So we need to it's very difficult if you're in a walled garden situation because you've got lots of information but you have little resources. So this is a clip of the My Bloomington on the city site, which does a lot of really interesting things with the context, but they could also use investment in UX and investment in integration with other things. This is the data set that the DC had. So they had about 257 different data feeds. The city actually already has 36 that we can use. There's also going to be data.gov, which is the federal version of that, that's going to release a whole bunch of data next month. We already have a really good example of a community getting together and doing stuff in Bloomingpedia. In 4 years, they've done 2,700 articles. They've put up 1,200 different files and had 4 million views. But most of all, I just want to convey that development is a social thing. We aren't Da Vinci's out there. We have to do this in groups and contribute all the things that, the different skills that we have. And if we can do this and put all this stuff together, we're going to end up with some very interesting apps. And when we see technology and transparency together, there's a lot of questions we can ask. And what I'm hoping is that in June, you're going to join me in trying to come up with the answers to it. Thanks very much.